I'm Allie. I came out after 20 years of marriage and I have 3 kids.
I'm Melissa and I have 2 kids and I came out at 37 after an 11-year marriage.
This podcast is about coming out later and the struggles and victories that come with it.
When coming out feels like the end of the world, but it's really just the beginning.
This is the Lesbian Chronicles. Welcome to the Lesbian Chronicles. How are you today, Melissa?
I am fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm ready to dive into some sexual conversations with our guest that we have today.
We have a really exciting guest here today. Do you want me to
Allie, you want
go ahead and give the intro?
I say you go for it.
Yeah, so we have Susan Bratton here today, who is a sex expert or sexpert, I guess some people probably call you. And I also read that you are interested or an expert in biohacking and helping people kind of achieve max pleasure in their sex life. And you've written gobs and gobs of books. Is it over 30? How many books have you written?
I think I'm working on my 44th book.
44th book.
Wow. And it's interesting. It's called Orgasmic Intercourse.
Okay.
And a big part of it is helping women find their orgasm through penetration, but a big part of it is devoted to strap-on play, because there's so many people who need to learn how to wield a good strap-on or a double-ended dildo.
We're jumping, I guess, right into strap-ons.
We're getting into it.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, I find that to be a primary tool in my feminine relationships.
Yes.
So,
that's incredible. So talk to me about like how much experience have you had with most of our listeners are lesbians, if not all listeners. Yeah. How does that differentiate from like your probably typical audience, which would be hetero relationships? Have you talked to a lot of lesbians in this way?
You know, it's funny. I've been actively what I would now call pansexual my entire sexual life. And I'm 62. And I think I lost my virginity at 19 to a guy, but then quickly had a relationship with a girlfriend. And so I've had lots of dry years of no feminine relationships, but I have a fabulous one going right now. I've also been married for 30 years. So I've had an open relationship for 30 years, which is for 20 of those 30. I was monogamous to my husband for a decade. And that's kind of what got me into being a sex expert, was that sex wasn't great with him after the honeymoon period was over. And we really needed to learn skills. And so my company, I have a publishing company, and I publish sex techniques and bedroom communication skills. And I have a supplement company, and I talk a lot about extending your sex span, having great sex till the day you die, because it contributes significantly to longevity, to youthful aging, to vitality, not just sexual vitality, but to your lust for life generally.
Right.
And so I got into all of that because I wasn't having orgasms with my husband. And we realized that sex for across the gender spectrum is a series of learned skills. And we were early internet dweebs, and we wanted to bring the things we had learned in sex workshops to the world, to anyone around the world who was what we call a sexual seeker. Now, of course, the big bell curve, everything in sex is a big bell curve.
Truly.
And so the big bell curve is heteromonogamous because of the, Christian patriarchal oppression that we live under. So, and I don't have to tell you that.
No,
I'm speaking
our
to
language.
the choir here.
Yes.
Exactly. It's my language. We have a shared language there. And so, yes, most of my stuff is hetero oriented. And honestly, I help the gay community significantly because I'm really generally good with testosterone dominant humans who need to understand how to have more pleasure and connection. But I'm very, very good at understanding. And this is one of the things I really wanted to talk about today that I thought could help a lot of your listeners. And that is that I love to explain female libido, desire, and arousal. And by female, when I'm talking to you about male and female, all I'm really talking about is whether you were born XX or XY chromosome, whether you are estrogen dominant or testosterone dominant, and you had started with a vulva or you started with a penis. And it doesn't matter to me what your gender expression is. I support it fully. As a matter of fact, I was just posting on Threads. I'm in love with Threads because Twitter turned into such a cesspool. And I was just posting on Threads this morning that there's this, I'm on my way to Burning Man this weekend. And I was just posting on Threads this morning, this article from the one of the Reno publications about this art colony, getting all of their art ready for the playa. And one of the art installations is this, what did she call it? She called it non-binary species non-specific deity. And I thought, oh, I think that's my new pronoun. I love a non-binary species non-specific deity.
I love the deity so part. Good. I know, it sounds so like perfect. That's amazing.
I thought it was so cute.
Yeah.
And so though I generally publish things that are heteromonogamous because that's the big bell curve and my stuff is very, very mainstream, but highly elevated. What I teach is heart-connected, conscious, passionate lovemaking.
And I think you talked about like personal growth, mindset, like the people that can really learn or like adapt to this are those people, which that can be man, women. I mean, that's everybody.
Anything. It's everybody.
It's everybody.
And the parts, your physical operating system, if you have a vulva, is very different than if you have a penis.
Right.
There's just there's nature and nurture, but you cannot deny nature. And so I like to explain what it is that women want. For example, my girlfriend's coming over tonight for a date, and I was her ecstatic birth partner. And we just fell in love with each other.
Wow.
And she's coming over for a date tonight. It's the first time she's leaving. I call her our baby because I love her so much. She's my precious angel, leaving our baby at home with baby daddy and coming over for a date. And we have a fairly newly developing, deepening sexual relationship. And I'm going to be doing the things that I teach men to do to women in my heterosexual monogamous world. And so I really wanted to share arousal and seduction strategies with you and the things I know about the vulva and vagina, which I like to call the yoni, Y-O-N-I. Are you guys familiar with that term?
No, I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of it.
Okay. This is the tantric lovemaking word for pussy.
Okay.
Y-O-N-I. And the reason that I like it is that to me, and the penis is called the lingam, L-I-N-G-A-M.
Okay.
And the reason that I like the word yoni is, first of all, it sounds like my little yoni.
My little pony.
You make it sparkles and rainbows.
Oh my God.
So I like that. And then the second thing that I like is that the yoni is actually more aligned with the chakra system and your seat of power. It's not a location. Like, I hate it when people call our genitals the vagina because I'm like, that's so fucking patriarchal.
Yeah.
Like, my clit is this whole hot
world
mess
of
right
its
here,
own,
you know? And so one of the things that I've been teaching lately is orgasmic awakening, orgasmic activation of the entire vulva or yoni. Because the vulva is actually the face of our genital system, and the vagina is only a part of the internal structure. So I feel like the yoni is an all-encompassing, heart-connected, reverential word that's also cute and sweet for our pussy, which is a kind of a slang term that can be honorable because we've taken it back, but I think we can do better. So I like the yoni, and I teach a lot of yoni massage, because that's really fundamental to activating our genital system to really get our to achieve our orgasmic potential. I also talk about orgasmic cross training so that we can like keep coming better and better and better. Because I really feel like if we understood our genital system, our arousal ladder, and all this guilt we have that we're not acting like men, horny all the time. Well, we're not penis owners. We don't have the same level of testosterone as male-bodied humans do. And yet we constantly feel like we're guilty. We're not enough.
Something's wrong with me.
All this
I
bullshit.
can't get there. Something's wrong with me. It's me. It's me. It's me. And it's like, I love this too, because I feel like women in general are more that way. And
we
so
take it on ourselves as our own fault.
So when you have two women, it's like twice as hard, because you don't have this man who's like, at least
instigating.
And so it's like, I struggle with this sometimes.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I tell heterosexual monogamous men most is they bitch to me all the time. Because, you know, your typical dude, he's got two emotions, anger and victimhood. Those are the only ones he was allowed to have as a little boy. It's not his fault.
Right.
And so he gets pissed because his wife or girlfriend never initiates. And I'm like, dude, here's the golden rule on that. You take out the trash, you kill the vermin, and you initiate. And you have to learn how to seduce a woman toward pleasure. It's your fucking job.
Yeah.
It's not hers. She's literally not socialized to do it, not educated to do it. And she's not physically oriented toward being hot and horny all the time. I mean, I love it when I'm like super fucking horny. It's so nice. Because most of the time it feels like heavy lifting. Yeah. But I'll tell you something. My husband's been doing that heavy lifting for 30 years for me. Right. And we just are like, we call ourselves Team Sweetie. Team Sweetie. We have our little hashtag. We had a hashtag before there was a hashtag, Team Sweetie. And it's basically us, not against Yoni, but like in support of the goddess of Yoni. We come together to get her going. We got to, start her up.
Yeah.
And there's never any expectation that I'm going to initiate. He has to make the offers. So I like him to make a lot of offers all the time. And sometimes I'll ask him for things and he loves that, but he doesn't expect it because he understands that I've never been socialized to do that, nor am I ready to go at any time. I need that warm up. So that's why I think yoni massage is like chef's kiss, the perfect sex technique to start with for anybody who's having sex with a vulva owner or a yoni owner.
What do you do when you have two yoni owners? Go ahead, Melissa.
What are you doing with two yoni? Well, that's kind of related to what you're saying, Allie. Like, so I think that's one of the issues with women, especially women coming out of a heterosexual marriage.
Oh God.
Where you're used to like not being the initiator. And on top of that, feeling a lot of anxiety when you are like someone does initiate with you. Yeah. So like, I know in my relationships, I've had an issue of like, okay, like if I do initiate and I get turned down, I feel hurt. But on top of that, like having the kind of guts in me to do that initiation, like that's really hard to like kind of dig deep and find.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
I agree with that too, Melissa. It's really hard for me. And then in the process to ask for what I know would help me get there, I don't even know how to verbalize it.
Yeah. So I'll give you some examples of that if you'd like.
Yeah.
Go for it. Yes.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's really important there's a couple of things to unwind when it's two women together. One of them is this thing that we haven't been socialized or acculturated to initiate. The second thing is that our bodies are not starting out horny and turned on because we have slow acting hemodynamics. Our genitals get filled with blood and we get our yoner, our clit boner, our yoner, right? Our yoner is super slow, where you've both been with men in the past and they have hard-ons all the time and they're visible and they wake up with a lot of testosterone surging through them and and they masturbate every day, because they have to keep their sperm topped off. We don't have those, what I consider to be biological advantages sexually. We have other biological advantages. But I think that the very first thing we have to understand is that we live in bodies that need a very slow build.
Yes.
We're not starting off ready to go. And that a lot of our sexual practices, because we're estrogen dominant Homo sapiens, no matter what sexual identity or gender identity that you have, me being a deity.
Of course. Exactly.
It cracks me up. I friggin' love that. Goddess of the yoni.
Yes.
We need to, we're prey, and penis owners are predators. 99% of sexual predators are men, right?
Yeah.
We are the prey. So when you get to, you think about people with yoni owners as being skittery horses, right? That's what we are. We're skittery horses because estrogen, because we're prey, estrogen makes us worried about everything,
Yes.
worried about getting hurt. We do not walk safely in the world. It never occurs to penis owners about these things that we live with at all times. And so we don't feel safe. We feel predated. We are not instantly horny, and we have slow acting erectile mechanisms to get to full pleasure.
Yeah.
Those are really fundamental things that we need to support each other in overcoming. Not even overcoming, but just like go with the flowing of that.
Right.
That's our baseline. And because we're estrogen dominant, estrogen makes you really good multitaskers because you've got to keep your eye on a million things because there's 360 degrees of danger.
Right.
That
Predators.
means our reticular activation systems are always on, and we have more trouble with our cortisol and adrenal systems. And it is fucking hard for us to relax.
Yeah. Like my brakes are on.
Your brakes are always on.
Yeah.
So one of my techniques, one of my most popular books is called Sexual Soulmates, The 6 Essentials for Connected Sex. You can get it. Your listeners can get it. You can buy it on Amazon, but you can get it downloaded for free. It's at sexualsoulmatesbook.com.
Okay.
And I'll drop links as I go because I'm going to skip to I'm going to make high level points, but give you more.
Okay.
So you can go get whatever appeals to you. The reticular activation system has to be calmed down. And so the soulmate embrace is one of those techniques. If you just want that, you can go to soulmateembrace.com and download that. Soulmate embrace I was talking to my boyfriend yesterday, and he has another girlfriend. And he said a lot of times when she comes over, she's so busy and she's like, a little like strung out. And I was like, yeah, like all women. And I said, you need to hold her. You just need to hold her.
Right.
And you need to do it in this soulmate embrace way of doing things, which is it's not a squeeze and release, which is mostly all we ever get. It's a long, loving, absorbing, relaxing, holding embrace. And he did it to her and he goes, my God, that is exactly what she needed. She had the most incredible orgasm after I relaxed her that way. She yelled out and I thought I had heard her. And she said, no, it was just so sexy because he was also telling her fantasies. She likes super light touch. He doesn't even put his fingers inside her. They don't have intercourse. She just likes the very lightest of touch stroking on her yoni. And that will get her off. She doesn't even like her nipples touched. It's too much. He can lick them, but not touch them.
Wow.
That's how sensitive she is. And he was telling her stories and stroking her super lightly after he held her for a while and gave her the best orgasm she ever had. And that's because he'd gotten her calmed. Our arousal begins in relaxation. And often when I'm talking to heterosexual men, they're like, what buttons do I push? What knobs do I turn? How do I get her turned on faster?
Right.
And I'm like, slow the fuck down.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like, just slow down, drop in, heart connect, soothe each other. And then if things go further, they will. But you can't get through the impenetrable anxiety until you put it at bay, put it at rest.
If it's two women, is it like because sometimes I feel this sense of like, who's responsible for taking ownership, I guess, of that process? Like it's like it should be feel like we should take turns or we should be, but how do you verbalize that when you're, you know, this Catholic upbringing and this all these things that are on top of my head that are like this is like deviant in some way?
I'm sorry about the Catholic upbringing, by the way. It was
Trust me,
one of
I
the
am
cruelest
too.
cuts of your childhood.
Right, it really was.
Yeah, I know. What you want to do is you want to think about it as co-regulation. Now, I'm not a therapist, a psychologist, etc. I'm an author of passionate lovemaking techniques. That's what I do. I teach people how to have hot, connected sex. That's what I do. But co-regulation is something that is very, very solidly used in the therapy community. And it basically is just lie down and hold each other and soothe each other and stroke each other's hair and remember why you love each other and take a moment to relax and, you know, connect with each other. And when you just have a regular practice of holding each other, that just starts the slippery slope into pleasuring each other. Sometimes you don't, but most of the time you end up feeling like, oh yeah. And that's why I always think that yoni massage is the other really good offer that you can make next after holding and being held. And that's because we need a lot of time to get all that blood to be recruited out of the rest of our body, out of our brains that are buzzing and, you know, out of our periphery and into our pelvic bowl. And once you start to relax and you start to let down, and you might have some tears come to your eyes, you might have some things you need to get off your chest. And then you'll notice your mouth is watering, and then you'll notice your vagina is beginning to lubricate because you love this person that you're with and you are turned on by them. You just have to stop and drop and connect. And then once you begin that process, you might want to stroke each other's hair or kiss each other's cheeks or neck or their clavicles. You might want to start running your hands down their body, soothing their hair, running your hands down their body, just feeling the beautiful feeling of them, pressing yourselves close to each other, and then making out, you know, leisurely, and then letting that kind of warm you up, because opening your mouth and using your mouth's directly attached to your yoni. It's actually literally a sphincter system that all works together. So when your pupils dilate and your spit starts running, your vaginal fluids start running as well. Your breasts will actually feel like you've nursed your kids.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When you nursed, you could feel the milk kind of drop down in.
Yeah.
You'll actually feel your breasts start to kind of like let down a little bit. And then you'll want your breasts touched, not just straight to the nipples, but just, you know, breasts touched and pleasured, your ass stroked and squeezed, you know, squeezing also. When you squeeze and hold and hug each other in that way, it actually kind of reboots the nervous system. It gets out that armoring that we have to carry around in the world as we walk through it. And it begins to break that armoring and open us up. And then moving down to a really nice seated yoni massage where one of the partners is butterflied open, legs open, lots of good massage oil. I don't know if you've tried Foria, Foria, like euphoria. Foria. Fantastic line of oil. They have a sex oil. They have an oil for your clit called Awaken that every single time when I'm getting a yoni massage from my husband, who gives them to me regularly, he rubs my whole yoni. And then once I'm really warmed up, once he does the outside, you start on the outside, and he gets the mons kind of gelatinous and the outer labia all relaxed, and my little perineal area is super soft. And I find myself starting to like writhe like a snake. You start to want to move your body and kind of like just get everything really relaxed. Your prolactin starts to like let your joints and muscles want to move and relax. And then he puts a little bit of that Awaken, which is, it's got like cardamom and cinnamon in it, but no chemicals. I never put anything with chemicals near my yoni in any way. If you wouldn't put it in your mouth, don't put it in your yoni. And all those lubes that you buy at the grocery store are FDA class 2 chemical laden shittery.
Even like KY.
Oh, it's the worst.
Really? Okay, I never knew that.
God, no.
Okay.
Stop immediately.
Clear out the nightstand, Allie.
I know, clear
Clear
out
it
the
out.
nightstand. What about, can I, while you're on this subject so I don't forget, somebody told me once coconut oil is good.
I don't like it because I like MCT oil, but I don't like coconut specifically, like the jars you get to cook with. For two reasons. Number one, coconut has natural antibacterial properties that disrupt the vaginal microbiome.
Okay.
Number two, so I like Foria for that reason.
Okay.
It doesn't do that. And number two, it has little clumps of the coconut in there that attach to the proteins that come from our vaginal secretions, and it gets like chunks in your pussy, which I don't like.
It's like gritty. Okay.
Gritty. Exactly. You have to wipe it off. It's like a pain in the ass. So no, I don't recommend that. I recommend Foria. I bring it up for a very specific reason. And it has, you can get it with CBD in it, which also calms and helps the endocannabinoid system of the vaginal canal. Really feel pleasure. If there's any pain associated, it really helps with that because we have sensitive vaginas. I've got some new info on the vagina I'd be dying to tell you too. We probably will run out of time, but I can come back anytime because I have so much new information about orgasms and vaginas. And I'll tell you something, I have really, really been massively activating my vaginal system lately. And I really want to gift that to your listeners too. But I want to finish the yoni massage because I think it's important. So, Foria also makes a wonderful breast oil. And when you are kissing and playing with each other's breasts, and so many women have issues with their breasts, they don't love their breasts. And I really want people to start to really understand that these beautiful things on our chest are such a magnificent addition to our pleasure and that they can be awakened and become massively orgasmic. I mean, I used to not even like my breasts and be embarrassed about them. Now they are a seat of massive pleasure for me. I love nipple and breastgasms. They're so nice. And so they actually open your yoni more too. And then you can begin with the oils, you can begin to really get everything just almost like liquidy in there. And when you do that, it allows your womanly fluids to flow. You're much more easily able to ejaculate, to orgasm just not from direct clitoral stimulation, even just the shaft or the mons or the outer and inner labia, the G area, which is up inside the vagina, the perineal on the base of the vagina, the deep spots, the side spots. Essentially, our vagina, you want to think about it being like a 360-degree activation in there, and not just the skin inside the vagina, but like deep into the tissue of our pelvic bowl is where you're going to start to really get a lot of pleasure. So, and then anal, I mean, exquisite pleasure from anal. And you can explore that and expand that.
Because I'm thinking about like a lot of our listeners are perimenopausal or in menopause, maybe even.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would think like this is so good for them because it is harder at this stage in the game when you're, I think estrogen declines. I don't know all the science around it, but a lot's happening beyond the fact that your brakes are on. It's also just physiologically you're changing.
First of all, get some vaginal estrogen. Read the studies. There is such negligible worry and so many reasons to get on vaginal estrogen and take it for the rest of your life.
Is that a prescription? That's your doctor prescribes it.
Very, very easy to get.
Okay.
Vaginal estrogen is like super cheap and easy to get.
Okay.
And it's bioidentical now. Second thing is use the Foria lubes to really get everything lubricated. Third thing is I have a vagina device. This is the sexual biohacking, sexual wellness, sexual longevity stuff. Get the vagina device. It's called a V-Fit, and it uses red light therapy inside your vagina with Kegel toning and warmth to recollagenate and lubricate the vaginal tissue to keep it from getting thin, getting incontinence, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then if you feel like, oh God, I'm really starting to piss my pants or sneeze and piss, or I can't feel my clit anymore. Like I've atrophied, I've lost sensation. My lubrication is shit, even with estrogen and the V-Fit and all this stuff. Go get FemiWave treatments. That's an acoustic wave that's put onto the whole outer vaginal area and slightly inside the vagina that penetrates and reconstitutes and grows new tissue in your entire female genital system and makes it juicy and lush. I'm 62 and I have the wettest, slipperiest, most supple, most beautiful, most responsive, most orgasmic yoni. It's better than when I was 20.
Wow.
I mean, I'm having the best sex of my life at 62 years old. So, and these are the things that I do
right,
that really make a difference.
What about diet?
Well, of course, diet and exercise. You've got to get your blood moving and you got to eat healthy food. Right. I mean, what we shouldn't have to say, but I guess we do. You know, you've got to take care of the temple.
It's true.
The deity needs its temple taken care of.
Yes, 100%. I love it.
Yeah. So the yoni massage is so great because then once you get all that tissue engorged, you know, you think about a penis, think about it like a banana. We're used to thinking about a penis having erectile tissue in it. And so we think about what sticks out, but actually penises are about twice as big as what you see from the belly out. They go in and down to the testicles. So now you're thinking, oh, that's a big banana. Well, peel that skin off, turn it into a circle with a point at the top and open your vulva up and pop that in there around your vagina. And all of that is your erectile tissue. We women have as much erectile tissue as men, but nobody's talking about our motherfucking ED. No. Right? But we have it.
Right.
We have clitoral sensation loss. We have labial atrophy. We have vaginal atrophy. We have loss of lubrication. But a nitric oxide supplement for your lubrication, the vagina device, the FemiWave, and
talk to me about the
consistent.
What is the nitric oxide? Yeah. What does that do?
I don't have a bottle here to show you, but I can send you some if you want it. It's really good. So nitric oxide is it's the system in your body that moves the blood from where all over the place to your pelvic bowl when you're making love. So you can squeeze all the blood down there so that it's oxygenated and your genitals, all that erectile tissue, that banana of erectile tissue,
right,
fills up with the blood. Because the way you feel pleasure is it's not actually on your clit or your labia or in your vagina. It's actually your brain that's feeling and registering the pleasure. So you need that mind-body connection. And when you're stimulating multiple parts simultaneously, like the labia, the clitoris, the internal vagina, the perineal area, the groin, the belly, the breasts, the lips, all those signals are going to the brain and processing as pleasurable sensation. When there's not enough blood flow, and by the time you're 50, you have half the nitric oxide in your body that you had when you were 20.
Wow.
And so nitric oxide supplementation and nitric oxide booster, the one that I have is called Flow, and it's made from organic fruit and vegetables. And I specifically formulated that supplement because most of the nitric oxide supplements out there are made from corn liquor in a big vat in China full of pesticides. So it's just gross.
Yeah.
And so Flow is the one that I make. I'll send it to you. The link to it for podcast listeners, where it's a better discount, is Buy Flow Now, BUYFLOWNOW, if you want to put it in the show notes, because that's like a better price than if you bought it from Amazon or our store. And
Buy Flow Now.
Buy Flow Now. That's it. And then what happens when you have lots of nitric oxide is all that erectile tissue can go and get nice and big in your yoni. You know have you ever had like a really good clit boner and your labia's been all plumped up after some really good sex?
Sure.
All the time.
Yeah.
So that's what you want. And nitric oxide really helps drive that blood into the yoni. And then think about it. If you're flaccid, you have a small amount of engorgement. and it doesn't send very many. When you touch it, there's not much surface area. When it's like, and you've got a big clit boner, I've got the meatiest clit. And I've cultivated having a super meaty clit and really like luscious labia, because now when the blood flows in, it goes, and it's got all this surface area sending like massive signals to my brain, giving me incredible, mind-blowing orgasms for like hours. And so this is what sexual biohacking is. It's basically starts with regenerative therapies like FemiWave. Melissa is cracking up over there. She's like cracking up.
I was not prepared for this today.
Is it too much? Do you want me to dial it back?
No, please keep going.
Because I have two follow-up questions. Keep going, because I have two follow-up questions.
Okay, so all I'm saying is good blood flow and using these regenerative and biohacking things. Also, let me throw in another really good biohacking one is clit and vulva pumps. If you pump up your vulva with a vacuum device, I'll give you the link for that. It's lady pumps. I'll give you the link. You can pump up your clit and really draw the blood into your clit to get it really nice and big. You can also do PRP, O shots to your clitoral structure. To improve and regrow the tissue in your clitoral structure. That's really nice too.
I've never heard of PRP there.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Okay. I do PRP in my hair because I'm trying to regrow it back from COVID. And I do it in my face and my neck and my chest and my arms to keep myself youthful looking. And then I do it in my clit. I've had 7 O shots in my clit over about the last 7 years.
Wow.
And it's really reconstituted all that tissue. And it's like, I mean, a clit boner is where it's at, but not just a clit boner. You want basically a yoni boner. You want a yoner.
The whole
That's
thing.
what you want.
Tell me though,
Susan,
about,
well, wait,
ahead,
I have to say, I admire your ability to be so candid and open. And
Good.
I am
Thank
like,
you.
this is the coolest. Like,
we're shyer than
to
you.
be
Is
you
what
one
she's
day.
saying. I know. The goal is you.
This is so cool.
I know.
So I apologize
Thank you.
for laughing, but I'm also
No, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't
prepared for this today.
I was just want to make sure I wasn't like too much.
I love it. It's fantastic.
Okay, great.
No, nothing.
Thank you for reassuring me.
Yes.
Exactly. Talk to me about like masturbation as far as like, is that a good like sometimes I think like I'm learning myself and we came out later and it's like I'm relearning what I like and what I don't like or how to help my partner help me. I wasn't even sure. So,
masturbation, solo pleasuring is so nice. And I prefer that to masturbation. I also love mutual masturbation. I love to just like get each other off, but get yourself off next to your partner so that you kind of ride each other's turn on. That's really fun too. And incorporating sex toys into sex is super important as well. Don't be shy to do that.
Yeah.
I just put up a website called orgasmiccrosstraining.com where I put the 8 different types of pleasure tools that I recommend for the yoni to basically activate all of this different tissue that we have in our vulva, vagina, urethra, etc. And so just to make it like really simple, I recommend that when you're getting all that shitty lube out of your bedside table, that you clear that drawer out and add these 8 tools in there. And then just systematically buy them one at a time or whatever you want, whichever one appeals, whichever one you think will be good. And there's different options for each of the 8 categories of tools because different people have different price points. Some of them are my Quiet Vibe award winners because I hate noisy shit. I'm sensitive to noise. Some people have kids in the house or they live in community.
Oh, I'm terrified of my kids hear it. My excuse is going to be it's my electric toothbrush. Like I already have the excuse in my head.
So there's little stars next to the super quietest vibes that are on the market that are super high quality. And then they fit into these 8 categories. And I recommend that 3 times a week, if you can, try and kind of like create that as a goal for yourself to solo pleasure using one of the toys or two of them in combination, or, whatever feels good. Sometimes we like things inside us as well as outside of us. And that's a nice combination to really activate everything. One of the toys is a version of the rabbit that there's two sizes of, a small and a large. I've got a giant yoni, so I like all the large stuff, but lots of people, especially menopausal women, they want the smaller things. So many, I do not know if you guys know this. I don't think you do, but every year I do sex trends of the year in January. I go on like some of the top sex podcasts and I talk about what my sex trends of the year are. And for the last 2 years, women discovering their lesbianism later in life has been a top trend.
Wow.
And women ask me all the time, women who are single, who've been dating men and been disillusioned, what do I need to do to find a great guy? And I'm like, fuck some women. Like, why are you limiting yourself to men?
Yeah.
Like, get out there and have some fun and figure out your pussy and enjoy yourself and stop worrying about men. Just like, women are amazing. Widen the playing field.
Totally
Find the person you like and be sexual with them and love them. And don't expect that you need someone to complete you.
Right.
Be sovereign and enjoy this life. And so I just wanted to tell you that you guys are literally a trend. You're on trend.
We're on
so
trend
on
right
trend.
now.
We're on brand. I think that's
Ahead of the trend.
Yes, you are.
We've been around since 2019. So
I know.
Yeah.
Slightly ahead of
that.
the trend. This is probably a good place to end on women and lesbians. And we're just so appreciative of you coming on. And I would love to have you back on.
Yeah, I would love to have you back on.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot more we can dive into.
There is.
So literally.
Right. Dive into, no pun intended.
Yes. And yeah, I'm going to include some of these links for our listeners so that they can look at these products, because this is like a whole bunch of stuff I've never even heard of. So
Same.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you're amazing. Thank you so much, Susan.
Thanks, Allie.
It's like a
Do you want to share your website real quick so people can find you, or your Instagram?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram or Threads at Susan Bratton. I also have a super cute OnlyFans, and I do super sexy photo shoots, and those are fun. And that's my name as well, onlyfans.com/Susan Bratton. And my website, my email newsletter website with 200 videos that also has a lot about passionate lovemaking, yoni massage. I've got like a half a dozen yoni massage videos on there.
Wow.
And women's arousal stories and all kinds of things is at betterlover.com. That's how you can get on my sex tips newsletter.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And really anything that you search on Better Lover will probably yield you some videos that will link to some of my free books and articles I've written and all kinds of things. It's a good place to start if you have, what was that orgasmic cross training? What was that FemiWave thing? What was that, whatever, it's all there.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is awesome.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Want to support the Lesbian Chronicles podcast? Rate us and write a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
We love listener feedback. If you'd like to share your story, email us at melissaandallie@gmail.com. That's Melissa, MELISA, and Allie, ALLI, @gmail.com. Or follow us on Instagram at Lesbian Chronicles.